Hola, buenos días, soy Carlitos Belvid, te espero en mi tienda en Belvid. Ubicada en París 10, Metro Belleville, 135, Rue des Faubourgs du Temple. Gracias.
Hola, soy Francinet García y te estoy invitando a nuestro estudio de belleza. Estamos ubicados en el centro de Chatillon. Aquí podrás encontrar diferentes tratamientos en cuidado facial, corporal, micropigmentación de cejas y de labios. Puedes contactarnos a través del 0611-727432. 0611-727432. Recuerda que aquí en Francinet García Brows Studio, tu belleza es nuestra prioridad.
Hola, bienvenidos al restaurante La Chingana. Si quieres comer el mejor ceviche y lomo saltado de París, visítanos en La Chingana, de mediodía a 10 de la noche, y también aceptamos reservaciones. Gracias, visítenos en el restaurante La Chingana.
Hola, te saluda Luis Bustillo de la Hermandad Señor de los Milagros, los Nazarenos en París. Fundado pues el año 2016, el 7 de abril, nuestra fecha de aniversario. Estamos nosotros acá con el presidente
para invitarlos a pertenecer a esta linda familia nazarena. Nos pueden contactar a través del Facebook, ¿no?, que se llama NASA París, o contactarnos por teléfono al 06 18 88 65 22.
Nuestra misión es tratar de fomentar la fe popular que traemos desde Perú.
Yo les invito a todos a pertenecer a la Hermandad del Señor de los Milagros, los Nazarenos.
¿Has sufrido alguna vez de bullying? ¿Alguna vez has estado expuesta a los social medias y a las redes sociales donde simplemente con un video hay miles y miles de comentarios diciéndote que eres analfabeta, que no comprendiste absolutamente nada de la vida, y esto siendo una mujer joven de 20 años y sobre todo de hombres? Bueno, esta es la historia que tenemos hoy para compartir en tu programa Encuentra tu camino con Dhana. Yo soy Dhana Brunel, estamos en Rtdinternacional y nos puedes encontrar en todas nuestras redes sociales, Facebook, Instagram y YouTube, y no te pierdas ningún episodio. Suscríbete. Hoy estamos entrevistando a Britni Camacho, presentadora y actriz desde Los Ángeles. Y nos encontramos ahora con nuestra invitada Britni Camacho, justamente. Hola Britni, ¿cómo estás? Hi Britni, how are you?
I am great. How are you? I'm so excited to be here.
Fantastic. We are very, very grateful for you to accept to do this interview and come here and share with us all your struggles and all your life in Los Angeles as a host and also as an actress.
Yes. I'm very excited to share just the journey and how not pretty it is, but that being the greatest reason why you should keep going is because it's not supposed to be perfect, and that's actually what keeps it exciting and exhilarating and more exciting to pursue. Because it's not easy.
Oh, sorry. Exactly, and this is life. Life is never perfect. We always have to figure it out our own ways. And this is Find Your Way with Dhana. So, Britni, let's just jump on it. I know that you are an excellent and beautiful hostess. You have your own TV show in LA and Live TV. I was in your show. This is amazing. But I am curious to know, how was your way? How did you find your way to get in there?
That's a great question. Also, thank you for coming on our show. It was amazing to have you there as well, providing so much value. It's actually kind of ironic because speaking about like this time post COVID, right? 2020 was actually the year I was first introduced to LATV, the network. And it was on a little casting on this casting website that I was always kind of on and auditioning and submitting myself for. And I found this posting about being a part of this show called actually something else. It was called The Zoo, and it was a guest host job. Yes, it wasn't Get It Girl, and I came and I was able to pretty much shadow what it was like being a host for a day, and I completely fell in love, and I expressed a very grave interest in wanting to be a hostess at this network. Not a guest. I wanted this to be my job, and I wanted to keep working on my hosting skills. So because I was so persistent with the producer, Maria Bracero, just constantly showing her and telling her like how interested I am, and kind of always just keeping up with her, she actually opened up the opportunity for me once Get It Girl was hiring and auditioning new hosts to include me in their line of women that they wanted to audition for the role, for the spot essentially. And we did a chemistry read. We were able to shoot a couple of episodes and kind of see with different groups of women how we were able to bounce off different ideas with each other and how we were able to converse with each other. And essentially, like, that's how it started. And now it's been 5 years of hosting on Get It Girl. And it was all because of one little posting on this little casting website, and just showing interest, but also always reaching out and building a rapport with the person that was able to pretty much open that opportunity for me.
That is a fantastic story. Tell us about how difficult was for you to move to LA and to start trying to get your dream when it's so much competition in LA, basically. Everyone wants to be famous, but you didn't want to be famous. You really want to go on hosting to help people and understand people and talk about difficult problematics that are going on actually in this system. Tell us more about that.
Yes. I mean, it's so funny because sometimes like what you set out to do doesn't necessarily look exactly what you pictured it to be. And I think when I first came to LA, and I still have many exciting opportunities within the acting world, and I'm still pursuing a career in acting. Hosting wasn't even something that was on my mind. And so kind of just following my gut and following my intuition on, okay, if this thing is choosing me, then I should keep choosing it. And I think also it's very important not to chase the end goal, but to chase the education, chase working on your craft and like deepening what you want to be great at every single day, because that will ultimately get you exactly where you see yourself to be. Or if you're religious, wherever you see God to yourself to be, or the universe to be. But sometimes it's not going to look exactly like what you want it to look like, and that's okay. But I think hard work has never failed, and persistence has never failed, and being a good person has never failed. So just keeping those core values really close to you and never losing those things is really what's going to keep you moving forward.
I totally understand, and I think it's fascinating because you are saying something that I want to highlight here to our audience, is especially this problematic that we always have this goal and this dream, but sometimes the universe gives you exactly what you need at the moment that you need it, but it's not exactly what you are expecting. And you are talking about to be open and have an open mindset to go and follow what the universe and life is giving to you for free because that is your way. So do you think that acting was really for you a way to find your true calling who was hosting?
You know, I think I think hosting is an extension of my creativity. I think at the core and what has always been my first love and I dare I say like my foundation is acting. And I think it's just another way for me to express myself and another way for me to learn more about who I am and what I love and what
I see.
my opinions are on different topics. And that in turn actually just pours back into my first love, acting.
I see. I totally understand. So basically, you're telling me that you are capable to do multiple craft, and one is helping you with the other one. If I understand well what you're
Exactly.
saying.
That's exactly right. I think they both help me with connecting with other people that come from diverse backgrounds, which is exactly what acting is all about. I mean, even down to the crew that you work with, to the cast, like you
Yeah.
are essentially living in this space for a certain amount of time, and you kind of have to be a part of this community, and you have to be personable and empathetic, and you have to like make connections with people that you would have maybe never otherwise because you would have never met them in any other
That's true.
setting. So it's helping me develop those skills, hosting.
I love it, and I love also
Yeah.
that the way that you don't like when people put you in a case. You are multiple things. You are a multi-dimensional individual, and I love it because you are capable to do many things at the same time. What do you say about this skill that you have?
I appreciate you for saying that because I actually feel like in conversation with people, I always say that I'm not a good multitasker or like I'm not good at focusing on multiple creative or career endeavors at once. But somehow, some way, I think you end up becoming really good at juggling multiple things because you take your time.
Yes.
And you pour into things, maybe one thing at a time, and then you're able to take on more responsibility. You're able to handle more of the projects, or you're actually able to nurture other interests that you have. Because you've spent so much time building up a strong foundation in other crafts and other things, and that essentially becomes like the catalyst to opening yourself up, expanding your horizon.
And it helps you with the creativity as well because you are a very creative
Yes.
person. I believe you. I met you in person and I know you are capable to talk about multiple topics at the same time, but you are very focused. Do you think
Yes.
it's maybe your organization of every single day who had helped you with developing your creativity and at the same time be able to swim between many things?
Yeah, I think organization and compartmentalization comes in waves, or not waves that are not controlled. I think it's more like you have to recognize as a professional that this is the time that you need to quiet all the noise. You need to ignore things that are happening around you and lock in, for lack of a better term. Like you have to just focus because you actually have no other choice but to. If you don't, you're gonna fail, and you're gonna fail in this next moment.
Yes.
So sometimes that looks like, you prepare a couple of weeks before we shoot, getting a production schedule. We get a rundown on who our guests are and what we're going to be speaking about. You do your research, but you're not going to remember everything. You can't possibly withhold that much information. So I think everything is about review. I think never be afraid or never be too prideful to keep learning and to review. I think some people get too comfortable in what they already know or what they think they already know deeply enough. And you can always learn more, you can always dig deeper. And I think that's what keeps me on my toes.
I only can agree with you. You are 100% right. And thank you, by the way, for that, because now that I'm starting to be a host myself, it's a struggle. As you say, we are human beings. We are not always capable to remember every single bio that we receive every single day with every single guest, especially when you have to film like in a few days the whole season. And I know you understand that point that I'm talking about. But you know what? I want to ask you something very important for me. How was your struggle when you first arrived as a hosting and when you have negativity and against you? How do you handle that? Do you have to build up your barriers? How do you handle all the negativity that you can maybe receive one day because maybe people don't like what you're doing?
So I've actually had an experience like that where a small clip was posted on Instagram from one of our girl talks, and it was revolving politics. So you know how that goes.
Yes, yeah.
And there were a lot of horrible, mean comments about me and my co-host, pretty much just calling us uneducated or, especially, women, we get a lot of jabs and it's always about kind of, oh, these dumb women, they don't need to be talking about these things. This is not their playground sort of situation.
Wow.
Yeah. There was a lot more, but we're not going to get too into it. And honestly, the way that I deal with that, I just laugh, like because it is funny, right? Like when I think about it, I'm not saying anything that's harmful to my community, to anyone's community. When you are sharing your thoughts on a big platform, you have to be aware that there's always going to be contrasting views.
Yes.
And actually that's what makes it exciting, because you can either agree to disagree or you can have your perspective shift. And I think when you are doing this from a position of wanting to learn always and wanting to stay curious about the world, I think you can laugh in the face of that sort of critique that is actually just trying to tear you down as a human. And it's not coming from an educated point of view. It's not coming from a place of intelligence or open-mindedness. And so I laugh because I have no time for it. And I think it's comical when grown men comment on young women.
Yes.
I think it's funny. It's like, okay, you have this much time in the world. I must be saying something really valuable. I must have said something. I must have said a really great point that made you think about what your views are.
Absolutely. I think it's a nice topic to talk about it, because mostly when we receive negativity, it's up to you if you want to keep it or if you want just to leave it and take it in a funny way, just like you did. And I think it demands a lot of strength of yourself and your character, because in a way you are owning yourself and you say, okay, guys, this is me. You like it, I'm good with that. If you don't, I'm also good with that. And it has to take a lot of guts to do it. It's not an easy exercise, but what I like about this, as that you sharing to our audience, is the fact that it's important most to concentrate and focus on all the positivity, also comments that you get, and remember that people don't gonna like you, and that contrast maybe brings something exciting, as you say, because it helps you to grow as well as an host yourself, but also as a human being, because you start to understand what is going on in the mind of certain people, and you say, wow, these people who are calling me uneducated, basically I'm just a mirror of them. Basically, it's not something about me. Basically, maybe it's something about them and not only about what I have to say. Don't you agree with this?
You hit the nail on the head. I think that's such a great point that people like to project their own insecurities on other people. And it's very easy to do that from behind a screen, and it's very easy to do that, you know, under a comment section of three beautiful women talking about real world issues, social issues. It's very easy for people to do that.
Yes, because you are exposing basically yourself, but they are not. They are just behind a keyboard, just saying mean things because they feel like you frustrate them. But why are we frustrating them? Yes, that's a very good question.
Yeah, why am I frustrating you so much? And also, at least I have the guts to be myself and to speak my views loudly on a platform. And honestly, maybe you should keep your views under a comment section behind the screen.
Yes, absolutely. I love it. I love it. Well, Britni, but tell us more maybe now that we are talking about hosting and how hosting has helped you with your career as an actress. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about how and what kind of struggle do you face when you have to be and you wanted to become an actress in LA?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, it's everyone goes to Los Angeles and everyone has this very distorted view of what it's supposed to be. I think the first really important step, or not even step, but the most important mindset I had, I think, when entering LA and starting to live there was that I knew it wasn't going to be like in the movies.
Yeah.
I knew nothing that I wanted was going to just be at my fingertips, and that I was going to have to really focus and meet the right people and gain some sort of mentorship. And I think regardless of having the right mindset, having the right mentorship, there's always going to be a struggle. You're always going to encounter that, and it's inevitable. So when I did first move there, I was definitely fortunate enough to meet a manager who became a mentor and was like a development manager for me about 6 months into me moving. I spent 5 years in LA, and I guess what I would really want to point out is that the industry changed significantly post-COVID, and so my life was like auditioning to the point where I was overwhelmed, you know?
Oh, wow.
And yes, like it was a lot. But it was incredible because I just was kind of thrown into the fire. And
it was
I
a chance
was able to
also
kind
to
of
have the chance to audition. It was also a chance. Not every single actor has this chance.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only first step in order to get in front of people and to work. You have to audition and you have to get those opportunities to audition for really great projects, which I was able to do. And then when COVID happened, I always say to myself, I kind of had like a quarter life crisis at 23.
Oh my God.
And yeah, and I wanted to quit. I was done. I had actually stopped going to school when I got my manager. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go to school and I'm just gonna move home and I'm just gonna figure something else out because this is ridiculous. Like imagine going from being really busy auditioning all the time, sometimes getting booked, to then everything goes really quiet.
Wow.
You know, with no real solid foundation to stand on.
And that hits you. Yes.
And that hits you, and around that time I'm 23, so a lot of my friends were graduating from college or already had graduated from college and were already in the workforce. And so it's like the comparison, I know they say comparison is a thief of joy, but it can also be really detrimental to your mental health and to like how you make your decisions. And so I took that moment in my life and I took a step back and I had to look at my life not as just this little flicker of moment in time, but rather in its totality, you know. God willing that I live to the age 80, 90, I'm only 23 and I have so much life to live.
Exactly.
And this isn't the end all be all. I think it's very easy, especially in your early 20s, especially in your 20s. I don't even want to put an age on it, but I just think when you're a young adult, everything feels so finite.
Yes.
You know, there's a sense of like invincibility that you feel, but you also feel like this is all or nothing all the time. And I needed to get back to my love of it. And slowly but surely, that's what happened. I actually focused elsewhere. I started to focus on self-development and like working on my fitness, working on my body, working on my social media, finding other ways to gain some sort of creative, to gain creative fulfillment.
Yes.
And I had to completely untie myself from having a job with having value. And that was probably the biggest learning point for me in my 20s or in my mid 20s or my earlier 20s,
Yes.
is that I
I'm
What'd you
hearing
say?
you. Don't worry. I'm hearing you. I love this
Yeah.
story. Please continue.
Yeah, I just think the biggest message I want to come out of this is that I think you have to cut ties with relating your career with your value, because at the end of the day, who you are outside of your job is what people are going to remember. They're going to
Absolutely.
remember how you treated them. They're going to remember what you did for them. They're going to remember how you spent your time together, and not necessarily everything you were able to accomplish. It's not to say you don't want to do that for yourself, and that's not to say your relationship with yourself can also include the accomplishments that you've made in your life. Because I don't want to, I want to be really clear about that. Is like, you know, it's important as humans to accomplish things and to like hit your goals and to like, because that also makes you feel good about yourself, because you know the hard work that it took to get there, and that to me is exciting.
And it's fulfilling. It's
Seeing the fruits
fulfilling,
of your
yes.
labor.
Absolutely.
It's fulfilling.
I want to highlight a few things that you say that are very interesting for me, and I think a lot of people who are watching can relate on it. I want to share and highlight this that you are saying about to have yourself and to understand that comparison is not a really good thing. This society, from very early age, shows that it's important to compare to others and to be competitive, because competition is maybe what makes you greater. And I think it's a big lie, because what we have to understand is exactly what you did say, is understand who you are and your core, and try to get better on your own for yourself. Your competition is with you, not with anyone else. And I think you handle it very well, because you decide to focus on you and your dreams and what you wanted to achieve, because for that was the way where you found your fulfillment. And I think it is basically you find your own way. And I also want to highlight something that we forget a lot lately. We are always talking about age, and we are always focusing about people who are in a very late age and try to accomplish their dream, because we never, it doesn't matter what age do you have. Age is not just a number. But we're always talking about people in their 40s like me going for their dreams, and we applaud that and we say, oh, that's brilliant, that's fantastic. But I think this generation, your generation, the early 20s, is also very difficult. And this society, especially after post-COVID, put a lot of pressure in your shoulders. And you were supposed to handle everything and be adult and be successful at the same time because the economy is bad, because you have a generation who have this social media, and everyone is exposing in social media like the perfect life, especially on your early 20s or 18s, from 18s, even a teenager. So you have a lot of pressure. So I want to say bravo to you because you have the maturity on yourself just to approach all these difficult topics and be a winner because you decide to choose yourself before everything else.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, that's really all you have is yourself and your mind, and you need to make your mind and your experience a great place to be, because if you don't, you're going to constantly seek happiness and fulfillment elsewhere, and that is never a good way to live your life. And it's hard, you know, that's a journey in itself to make your mind a great place to be, especially with social media and again with the economy and just how much of a struggle it is to just exist as an adult in this world.
Yes, exactly.
And I think that this is something that's not even new. You know, I think there's in our history there's been many times of market crashes and really unstable job markets or volatile job markets. And I think the only thing you really have at the end of the day and throughout time and throughout history is that all these people who were able to kind of get themselves out of the mud had to do it with changing their mind. They're changing their mind about how they viewed themselves, how they viewed the world, and how they view what fulfillment and what success is for them.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Britni, for sharing all
Of
this with us,
course.
for being so raw and so authentic. I try to inspire people, especially young adults who are listening to you now and maybe are struggling themselves with the society and all the pressure that you have in your shoulders. So thank you for being yourself.
Thank you.
Maybe you want to share something fabulous for on your career who is maybe coming soon.
Yes, well, there's always episodes coming out on the LA TV Plus app. Our show is called Get It Girl. We have new episodes coming out every single week. So, Dana, I'm not even, did our episode come out yet?
No, not yet. You have to tell me.
Okay, well, that is coming soon too. So we will be in conversation on another platforms elsewhere. And I might have a feature film coming out very soon this year. So stay tuned for all of those.
Congratulations.
Yes.
We are very happy for you,
Thank you.
Britni. And please come back
Thank you.
anytime to this show and this channel because we love you and we find you very, very
Thank
inspiring.
you.
Thank you for being
Thank you
yourself
so
and for
much.
being today with us. So I call you
Of
soon.
course.
I'm going to say goodbye from now, but all my
Okay.
love and heart goes with you. See you later, girl.
All my
Get
love.
it,
Thank you so
girl.
much. Get it, girl. Bye.
Bye. Y estuvimos ahora con Britni Camacho, quien vino a contarnos todos los problemas que tuvo que enfrentar justamente como presentadora de televisión, pero también como actriz. Y cómo justamente los problemas que tuvo que enfrentar la ayudaron a encontrarse consigo misma y a encontrar su camino. Esto es Encuentra tu camino con Dhana. Esto es Rtdinternacional y puedes encontrarnos en todas nuestras redes sociales, Instagram, Facebook y YouTube. No te pierdas nuestro próximo programa la próxima semana, otra vez el jueves a las 10 de la noche, con un nuevo invitado y con una nueva historia inspiradora. Muchas gracias y buenas noches. Adiós.
Hola, buenos días, soy Carlitos Belville, te espero en mi tienda en Belville. ubicada en París 10, métro Belleville, 135, rue des Faubourgs du Temple. Gracias.
Hola, soy Francinet García y te estoy invitando a nuestro estudio de belleza. Estamos ubicados en el centro de Chatillon. Aquí podrás encontrar diferentes tratamientos en cuidado facial, corporal, micropigmentación de cejas y de labios. Puedes contactarnos a través del 0611-727432. 0611-727432. Recuerda que aquí en Francinet García Brows Studio, tu belleza es nuestra prioridad.
Hola, bienvenidos al restaurante La Chingana. Si quieres comer el mejor ceviche y lomo saltado de París, visítanos en La Chingana, de mediodía a 10 de la noche, y también aceptamos reservaciones. Gracias, visítenos en el restaurante La Chingana.
Hola, te saluda Luis Lucillo de la Hermandad Señor de los Milagros, los Nazarenos en París. Fundado pues el año 2016, el 7 de abril, nuestra fecha de aniversario. Estamos nosotros acá con el presidente
para invitarlos a pertenecer a esta linda familia nazarena. Nos pueden contactar a través del Facebook, ¿no?, que se llama NASA París, o contactarnos por teléfono al 06 18 88 65 22.
Nuestra misión es tratar de fomentar la fe popular que traemos desde Perú.
Yo les invito a todos a pertenecer a la Hermandad del Señor de los Milagros, los Nazarenos.